Lewis, who is in Lawrenceville in Johannesburg. Chris Selders, of course, covering the Nelson Mandela International Day initiative, where the bikers are leaving this morning. It was launched in recognition of Nelson Mandela's birthday on the 18th of July 2009 via a unanimous decision of the UN General Assembly. It was inspired by a call Nelson Mandela made a year earlier for the next generation to take on the burden of leadership in addressing the world's social injustices when he said, "It is now in your hands." All right, so let's go over to Griselda. Let's see who she's with now. What are we looking at there? I can see that we're focusing in on some form of a garden. Griselda, talk to us.
Sorry, could we ask you, Bill, just to do that?
Well, that's right, Leanne. Welcome back, of course, to Bethany House here in Johannesburg. You can see a lot of the work is actually being put in here this morning, where, of course, you can see some of the flowers that are being planted here, as well as a vegetable garden as well. A lot of sandpapering also taking place here this morning. Many getting their hands dirty. You can see, of course, there the Premier of Gauteng, David Makura, as well as the founder of this great initiative, Zelda Logrant, as well as the CEO of the Nelson Mandela Foundation, Sela Hatang, also there. But let me come this way and actually speak to those who decided to get involved in this great initiative. Of course, not forgetting that the SABC Foundation is also part of this great initiative. Let's speak to Angie Kumalo here as well. I've always admired how she gets on one of those bikes and seems to rev. But this time, it's actually for a good cause, putting on that helmet, swapping the microphone this time. Metro FM newsreader Angie, a decision, of course, to get involved in an initiative like this, gender-based violence, predominantly affecting women and children. You're biking for that this year.
Absolutely. Today and the next 5 days or so, we have changed our focus a little bit for Bikers for Mandela over the years, and this time we are focusing on places of safety for women and children that have been abused. So this is our first stop. We haven't gone anywhere yet. We haven't left Johannesburg. So we are already getting our hands dirty, as you can see, and we are already doing our bit for the community to try and, give them a bit of upliftment and try and discourage the scourge that is sweeping through the nation of abusing those that are a bit more vulnerable than the rest of us.
Thank you very much. And for those who've just joined us, of course, Bethany House would house anything between 30 to 50 victims of the scourge. And certainly, let's chat now I spoke to the Premier a bit earlier on, so I'm going to allow him to do his job. His job is planting this morning. Let me chat to Sela Hatang, who is the CEO of the Nelson Mandela Foundation. It's quite important, Mr. Hatang, of course, to keep the legacy alive, to continue emulating this late icon, Nelson Mandela. This great initiative, of course, happening every single year. The decision, of course, this year to focus on gender-based violence. Certainly, Tata Nelson Mandela stood for all things good. And of course, when we speak about women and children, children were very close to his heart. So the abuse of women and children is certainly something that you want to see eradicated, if we can, in South Africa as the Nelson Mandela Foundation.
I think this project, in terms of the focus on violence, it reminds us that our society is so violent that we need to be doing something with violence. Whether it be in the spoken word or in our actions, that there's so much violence. You look at how we need to be changing and turning the wheel on this. And it reminds us also that Mandela Day is not just about do-gooding. That you go out and do good, you forget about the social ills that are there, ranging from the issue of violence here, but also racism and other ills that are there. So we need to be dealing with all of them and dealing with these things, saying we're dedicating these to Madiba in order to help build a country of our dreams. Remember in 2008, when we decided on initiating Mandela Day, it was after Madiba had said the world remains beset by so much human suffering, poverty and inequality. It is in your hands to help build a different world. That's the response that we are now making to it, to say it's in our hands to do that.
Thank you very much. I think if you could, Zelda, come again. What are we planting here this morning? Just walk us through what's happening here.
Well, there's actually a lady from First for Women that's been in charge. I think she did a PowerPoint presentation on what she's planted here. There's cabbage here, there's spinach here. She's measured the distances, and there's flowers to round it off. And now we're busy varnishing these benches. As you can see, the sun is about to come over the roof. So can you imagine sitting with beautiful flowers, sitting in the sun here? here in the morning. It's a happy place. So that's what we're doing here, turning this into a happy place.
Absolutely, creating happy places there. And of course, you would know that these bikers for Mandela, of course, will move from Johannesburg to Maputo. They've identified 4 of these sites. Of course, you'd know that the key focus is gender-based violence and creating awareness around the scourge. Certainly something, the social ills that South Africa needs to deal with. It goes, of course, beyond just planting this, but everybody doing their bit, I guess, Leanne. Everybody contributing somehow to ensure that they do good for somebody else. So from Bethany House, this is where the starting point is. They will go to different locations. Of course, you know that some of the beneficiaries as well are in other areas, including in Nelspruit as well as Barberton, and of course in Maputo as well. It's the first year that the Bikers for Mandela will be going to Maputo. Of course, you'd remember that very important marriage between South Africa and Maputo. So certainly quite significant that we also go beyond the borders, of course, to create that kind of awareness. It's not just a South African problem, but certainly we can say that it is a world problem as well. So we'll certainly come to you with a bit more later on about other refurbishments that will be taking place here at the Bethany House. So it's back to you in studio for now. I'm not sure if I'm going to get my hands dirty here for now, but I'll try. I don't know if I can get on a bike, but I might try that a little bit earlier on. I see Zeldarus, but okay. I'm being told right now to go and do some work, so I'm going to hand over to you in studio at the moment.